Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And I'm joined today by one of my partners in crime for this UFC 296 preview. And I'm joined with Callum today. How are you doing, Callum?
I'm good, bro. 296, last card of the year. I'm
Last card of the
excited,
year.
nervous, but looking forward to it, man. Could be
Hey,
the best card.
hopefully,
Could be the best card on the year on paper. Could be.
on paper it is, but we know what happens when we go,
Yeah.
hey, that's pretty loaded on paper, and then we watch it. I'm thinking,
What
this
happened?
card's shit.
Yeah.
But I
What the
got a
hell?
feeling this card is going to deliver.
Mm.
Um, on the card, obviously, it's headlined by Leon Edwards making his second UFC title defense against Colby Covington. Also on the
Headshot
card,
dead.
yes, headshot dead. We are praying for another one of them tonight. And also on the card is Alexandre Pantoja making his first title defense against Brandon Royval in a rematch where Pantoja won via submission. And also on the card is a return for Paddy the Baddy Pimlet, who will be making his long-awaited return after ankle ligament damage against
Yeah.
his fight with Jared Gordon. And also on the card as well is the late replacement for the Vicente Luque versus Ian Gary fight, which was called off because Ian Gary had pneumonia, and that will be replaced by Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. So on paper, a pretty loaded card. But let's start at the top of the bill with the champ, Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. How are we feeling about this fight? Do you think that press conference is gonna play into the fight at all, or do you think Leon's just gonna wash that off?
So here it is. Doing this as a content creator, I always try and stay as level playing field as possible. And whether you see this as a positive or a negative, it's hard to do that with Colby. You either love him or you hate him. Now, I'm not going to say I hate him. I don't know the guy. I don't hate him. But I do dislike his character that he's doing. Like, there are times where he can be funny, but on the whole, it's very distasteful. Like, it's giving vibes of current Conor McGregor as opposed to previous Conor McGregor, who would be witty and he'd attack the fighter based on their skills and try and get under their skin. Colby's comment at the press conference is one of the most vile things I've heard at a press conference. And the reason I say that is everyone knows the history about Leon Edwards' dad. So I think everyone who's getting caught up saying, but Leon Edwards' dad was this or that, like, we're not talking about his dad here. We're talking about the comment directed towards Leon Edwards. Like, Leon Edwards was 13 years old when he lost his dad. Like, that's going to stick with him and have an impact on his life forever. And he wasn't at fault for his dad passing away or being killed. So for Colby to draw on that, what, for the sake of entertainment, is crazy. And when people say things like, "Oh, all's fair in like fighting," words are just words in fighting. Like, no, words are words in regulated fights. What Colby did, that's street talk. So, and he did this with Masvidal, and we saw what happened there. He needs to understand there's a difference between street talk and there's a difference between a competitor in the UFC, where obviously I'm fighting, but I'm fighting under a set of rules. If he said that to Leon on the street, there is no telling what would have happened next. And I think that's what the issue is, where he keeps on crossing the line. We saw Conor cross the line with Khabib, and look what that turned into. Like,
He did it with Dustin as well.
yeah, there has to be a point where the UFC stops rewarding fighters for doing what they're doing. Like, that's the reason Colby's doing this, because it's the shock value, and he's going to potentially get more pay-per-views and be put on more cards. Like, for a start, he shouldn't have got this title fight for a start. Shouldn't have got this title fight for a start. So him now doing this and getting more traction in the eyes of the UFC, it's like, oh, look at this social media engagement, this, that, and the other. But no, look at what you're doing overall. What's the overall message you're sending out? You're saying to fighters, go out there, say something wild, and we'll recognize it and we'll give you more for it. Like, that can't run. In regards to Leon, though, Leon has been, for me, one of the better fighters in the world because of him being able to separate his emotion from the fight. And case in point was Kamaru Usman in the second fight didn't get drawn in with all the crowd fair and all that stuff, but also the Gunnar Nelson fight. The Gunnar Nelson fight said a lot to me because he got booed in his own country against a man who wasn't from his country. And he stuck to the game plan, kept it smooth, and did what he had to do, and he won. Leon's gone through a lot of adversity. However, we've not seen Leon emotional in the cage. And I think that comment, if Leon doesn't channel his anger in the right way and he just goes out and starts being reckless against Colby, I don't see Colby finishing him, but Colby wins that belt because Colby will stick to his game plan, which is effectively back Leon up against the cage, get takedowns. And if he does that, it's Leon, whoever is around Leon needs to just get into his head and be like, don't let him beat you, because the pain and the anger you're feeling now will be magnified by 10 times if you let him beat you on top of what he said.
Plus, there's no guarantee that, let's say he lost, there's no guarantee he gets an immediate rematch. There's no guarantee. And
I actually doubt he would.
And for me, like, I know we were chatting before that Colby, for the most part, he was cooking in that press conference. He was cooking with a couple of zingers, but he always does it. And if you notice in previous press conferences, he does it when he F's up. What he was going to say, he was going to mention about his, like, Leon's hair, because he's got a big bald spot, and then he messed it up. And that's how that it's so tasteless, it's so classless, and we are not in the UFC era where you need to sell pay-per-views.
No, we're not.
You don't, because the UFC get paid a bucket load of cash to put on events every year.
And he doesn't even get pay-per-view points either. Colby doesn't get pay-per-view points. Not just that as well. The stuff you were saying about Wonderboy, I think it's flown under the radar because Wonderboy didn't react. But I'm going to be real with you, bro. If someone sits there and accuses me of what he accused, well, I don't want to say it on the channel just in case it messes up algorithm or mess up your video. But what he was saying to Wonderboy, like, if someone said that to me, like, I'm flying off the hat. Like, that's one of the worst accusations you can
Plus,
throw.
he also, like, look what he said to Tony about, I don't repeat the stuff because it is very,
it's kids and all that as well. And then he's saying stuff about Ian Gary's wife. And I'm like, again, Ian Gary's wife stuff. Again, people will turn a blind eye because you'll be like, Ian Gary's brought a lot of that on himself, and his wife getting involved in stuff has brought. But we've spoken about what he said about Leon's dad, what he said about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and relating to children. Spoke about what he said to Tony Ferguson relating to when Tony had the mental breakdown and speaking about his wife and his kids, and then also speaking about Ian Gary's wife. Like, where does this stop? Where do we draw the line here? Like, because this is the same guy who's calling the police on Masvidal and calling the police on Fabrizio Verdum. Like, you're a gangster and you say these things and back it up, or you don't say it at all. You can't be acting bad and then calling the police. Like, it don't work like that.
WWE character, in, like, real life.
Well, and here's the thing: a lot of people have said this online. He's playing a character. Just get over it. The difference is, in the WWE, they say these sort of things because you can go and beat the character separate from the person. In a real fight,
agree to it backstage. Oh, can I say this about that? And they're gonna go, oh yeah, cool, yeah. But
exactly.
Here, it's like it's completely
no
different.
agreement.
And on the whole, I thought Leon handled that press conference superb, batting off everything and stuff like that. But I feel like that the one thing Colby leaves out that press conference, I'm in his head now.
He fully is.
Like, fully in his head. What he said at the face-off as well, that's going to be playing on Leon's mind now. And let's transition from what happened in the press conference, what's going to happen inside the cage. And for me, it's going to sound a bit odd. This will be harder than the Usman fight, the second fight, because Colby is, people don't like to admit it, but he is a better wrestler than Kamaru Usman. Like,
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that one, bro.
because Colby's in his division. I think it was NAA. Like, he was the
He's
top
an All
division
American.
American wrestler. Kamaru Usman was a tier below. So
So
on paper, he is down as a better wrestler. But for me, like, he's different to Usman because Usman started to fall in love with the hands a little bit, with the boxing and stuff like that. Colby's got one game plan, as you said earlier. Back him up against the cage. I'm going to go for 25 minutes, going takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown. And yeah, Leon may stuff the first couple, but it's going to be 25 minutes, just takedown attempt after takedown attempt. Look what happened in the Masvidal fight. Yeah, got hit a couple of times, but just same well the takedown route, and that's my biggest worry, because if he gets caught with a takedown early, it's gonna be a long night for Leon. So he's got to keep him at ranges. Striking needs to be crisp and sharp. Just stay on the outside. The leg kicks like he did in the third fight, probably minus the cage holding, which he was lucky not to get a point deducted.
No, we did get a point deducted.
What, did he get a point deducted?
Yeah, he got a point deducted. Yeah, he got a point
Right.
deducted, I think, in the second or third round.
You better be careful, because he'll definitely get another point deducted if he starts grabbing onto that cage to avoid takedowns. So if Leon has a strong start to the fight, I can 100% see him winning. But if his head's not in the game, and what Colby said in the press conference actually is ringing in his head still, then I could see Leon. I can see Colby 50-45ing him just by wrestling him.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you say, but there's more routes, in my opinion, for Leon to win this fight than Colby.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And another thing I think that plays into this fight that I think a lot of people are kind of overlooking is Southpaw versus Southpaw. That for me opens up the leg kick option for Leon, and Leon's leg kicks are very good. If he can start leg kicking Colby early and really weigh on that leg, it's going to make it harder for Colby to go in for takedowns. Now, again, granted, Colby's very good at switching stance, etc. But effectively, when he goes in for a takedown, he's effectively going in from a southpaw position. If Leon's able to beat up his league leg, then I think it's going to make it more difficult for Colby as the fight goes on to push off that leg to get takedowns. If he starts slowing down in his takedowns on the feet standing, Leon's going to rip him to shreds. Like, Colby's way more scrappy and he'll throw more volume, but Leon is way crisper. Leon's got the quality over quantity. Colby's got the quantity over quality. The thing for me is Leon going to fight his fight based on what's happened so far in the build-up, etc. If Leon fights his fight, I believe he wins the fight 4 rounds to 1. If he tries to fight fire with fire, or he goes off game plan, he could end up losing 3-1, sorry, 3-2 or 4-1. I don't think he'll get 50-45. It could definitely happen, but I don't think it will happen.
That's
but
like the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
that he
but I
gets
think
50,
if he
45.
deviates from the game plan, which he spoke about in the embedded, saying that they've got a really tight game plan, if he sticks to the game plan, I think he beats Colby Covington. I think Colby Covington, everyone looks at him and says he's relentless, this, that, and the other. He wasn't that relentless against Kamaru. He never took Kamaru down, or I think he got one takedown against Kamaru, and Kamaru popped back straight up. When you look at Colby's resume, he beat RDA. Leon beat the brakes off Dos Anjos, beat the brakes off him. So they both got one there. Now, Robbie Lawler, he fought Robbie Lawler when he was really at the back end of his career. Then he fights Masvidal at the back end of his career. Like, Leon's fighting fighters close to or in their prime. He beat Kamaru Usman twice, the guy that Colby couldn't beat. The first time he did it with a miracle shot. The second time he beat him 4 rounds to 1. And he's in his prime. There's an argument to say Colby being out of the cage for so long, is he going to be rusty in his first fight back? Because he's not coming back against a Robbie Lawler here. He's coming against the champion. He's always had a tune-up fight when he comes back. He's not getting a tune-up fight now. He's coming back against the best in the division. And I think he's going to get found out because of it.
one more thing before we go to predictions. My only for Colby, this is his last shot at the belt.
I don't think it is.
What, you think they run this back as a rematch?
I don't necessarily think they run this back as a rematch, but if Leon goes up to 185 like he wants to, and there has to be an interim title fight, I think Colby probably will get into that. I thought the last Usman fight would have been Colby's last chance, but he seems to have a hold on the UFC or Dana White for some reason, which allows him to get these title shots after fighting once and not fighting for a long period of time.
Yeah,
I wouldn't sit here and be surprised and say it's his last shot. It should be his last chance, but
yeah.
I don't think
I
it will
wouldn't
be.
blame all the him being inactive on him, because he did have fights offered that he did accept.
Supposedly,
Well, supposedly offered
why wasn't he
Hamzat,
offered
said yes.
Bilal? He was never offered Bilal, or like remember he can say no to two fights, agree with one, and then one falls out. Like
Yeah, I think he said. I think he said with, was it Brett Okamoto, said he agreed to Hamzat and Dustin.
Dustin's
Those
not
ones that
a 70-pounder. Dustin said he wasn't going to go up to 70 pounds to fight Colby.
yeah, wouldn't give him the satisfaction
Yeah.
of fighting him, which is fair enough. Yeah, predictions for the main event.
Look at what's behind me, bro. I can't. Yeah. Like,
You can't make against your boy now.
I can't go against it now. Like I'm going Leon. I'm going Leon by decision.
You know what? I think I'm going to go the same with you, Leon by decision. I think Leon by decision. I don't think it's going to be the prettiest. I think it's not going to be the prettiest fight. Everyone's going to go, well, that fucking sucked, and oh
Yeah.
my god, Leon's such a champ.
Yeah.
Colby beat him, robbery. Like, I'm telling you now, that's how it will end if Leon wins by decision. I can guarantee you, Bilal Muhammad goes, oh my god, I'm gonna beat that guy. He's a bum, and stuff like that. So guarantee you, those are the headlines when Leon successfully defends his belt. That'll be Twitter for you straight afterwards. But
Yeah. I actually see it different way. I think Leon, if he wins by decision, which I think he will, I think he makes it look obvious that he's won the fight. But then Colby will spin the narrative when the fight's over. So and then
he grabbed the cage.
his fan base will like cling on to that. Some of his fans still think he won the second Usman fight. I'm like, what are we doing there?
Okay, moving on. Moving on to the co-main event. Alexandra Pantoja facing Brandon Royval in a rematch. Pantoja making his first defense of his flyweight title after one of the fights of the year this year against Brandon Moreno, who, funnily enough, weighed in as the backup fighter in case anything happened, which is at the time of recording, the fight's still on, so Brandon Moreno will not be stepping in at the moment. Callum, how do you think this one's going to go, considering this is a rematch that Pantoja won by a rear naked choke? Are we seeing rinse and repeat, or are we going to see a new?
I think this fight's going to be fireworked. Rarely is Pantoja in a boring fight like that fight with Moreno. We did a watch long for that, bro. We were on the edge of our seat for the whole fight.
Yeah,
I think I remember us at the end of the fight, all in the fifth round, being like, I can't believe this is the fifth round. I can't believe these two are still fighting at this pace.
yeah,
Pantoja is an animal, but so is Royval. And I think he would have learned a lot from that first fight. And even when you look at Royval, he's really tall for the division. Like, he's 5'9". He's a very tall flyweight.
yeah.
But Pantoja he seems like he just really, all the stars have aligned for him, it seems like. And it feels as though he's got that championship aura, that arrogance, that positive arrogance, I like,
Yeah,
whereby he just believes in himself so much. He's at AT&T, and that's a great gym for him as well. He's getting the best sparring, the best rounds around some of the best people in the whole sport. Royval, for me, is is one of those fighters who we're always going to look back and go, what a great fighter, but he's just in the division with Moreno and Pantoja. And I think that's what it is. I think Pantoja wins. I think Royval gives him a few scares, but I think he stops him in the championship rounds. I'm going to go for a 4th round stoppage.
Yeah, I think with this fight, depends how much that war with Moreno took out of Pantoja. But I'm expecting a rinse and repeat. For me, like if we're looking at fight on the card as like your banker fight, for me this is the fight to bank. For me personally, I think it's going to end the same. I think it's going to be and still via rear naked choke. It's going to be the same finish as before. For me, because I think you're right. Pantoja's got that championship aura about him. You know what I've liked? He's not mentioned 35 at all. He's not mentioned
Is
35.
Pantoja 35?
No. He's not mentioned going up to
Oh,
130.
going up to 35. Yeah.
He's not mentioned double champ stuff. He's got business to do at his own division,
Yeah.
which I love because Flyweight's got some killers in there. I've got some young, hungry killers in there. So
yeah, that division's going to be very tasty, man.
Yeah, but for me, it will be a successful first title defense for Pantoja, and then for Royval, I sort of do agree. We're going to look back. He's going to be like, yeah, he's great. He's just a flyweight Dustin Poirier.
Could be. No, could be. No, you could be right.
I was going to say the flyweight Colby Covington, but
yeah, we got to
the
wait
nearly
until
man of your division. The nearly man. No disrespect, he's a hell of a fighter, but I just expect Pantoja to like everything's put together now for him, like the game plans and everything like that. So yeah, and still,
agreed.
Next fight on the card, potential number one contenders bout. I don't think it is, but Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Shavkat 17-0, missed his sister's wedding for this fight. How quickly is he going to finish Wonderboy?
This hurts me, man. I love Wonderboy.
I love him too, man.
But Shavkat is this division's boogeyman. And what makes him the boogeyman is he's the most quiet in the division. He's scary. Like, everyone was speaking about Hamzat as a 70-pounder, but Hamzat was loud. Hamzat was boisterous. Rakhmonov's that guy you look at in the corner of the room and go, sank about that guy. You just don't want to mess with him.
17-0.
17
finishes. Judges might as well not even turn up for this fight.
Turn up. And here's the thing. Wonderboy for the first round could really put him into some serious trouble. Because look, we saw him get tagged by Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
Wonderboy is a more dynamic striker than Jeff Neal. May not hit as hard, but he's more dynamic.
Yeah.
The problem Wonderboy's got is Rakhmonov can win this fight in every area. Rakhmonov hits hard. His ground game's excellent. His wrestling's excellent. And his submission game is on point. I don't see how Wonderboy gets it done. Here's the thing. I'm a big fan of both guys. And it would have been so nice to see Wonderboy get one more title shot. Him versus Leon Edwards, I think, would be the perfect fight for Wonderboy, because you know that Edwards is predominantly going to strike with him. But I don't think we're going to see that fight, because I think Rakhmonov's going to finish him. I think he's going to finish him in the second round.
Yeah, I think.
And bear in mind, Wonderboy's only been finished once in his career.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, I think
Pettis. And even that was a Hail Mary shot by Pettis. Phenomenal knockout by Pettis, not taking anything away.
Superman punch. That's one of my favorite knockouts.
But he was battering Pettis in that fight.
Yeah. I echo pretty much everything you've said there. I think you could say that we saw some potential weaknesses in Shavkat in that Jeff Neal fight, but as all great fighters do on their come up, they always find a way to get that W, not get the judges involved. I think didn't he get like a standing? He got the
standing. It was almost like a bulldog choke.
Yeah, sort of like a John Jones-esque. Thank you very much. Against Machida
Yeah.
sort of joke. Sort of tapped him out on the feet. Yeah, for me, Wonder Boy, Father Time's undefeated for a reason. And he's 40. I think he's going to look good for maybe 2 minutes. And then that's going to be it. I think this one, I know I said earlier about the other fight being a banker. This is definitely a banker.
I think so as well.
It pains me to say it because Wonder Boy could have had another title shot.
Yeah.
Could have been put up to get another title shot, but it's just so unfortunate for him. But it's such a shame. I don't want to go out like this. And
Yeah.
there's no rumors of him like retiring. I don't think he's
he will.
mentioned in the atmosphere. I think there's more likely him moving up to 85 should he lose.
See, I don't know if that makes sense.
Pardon?
I don't know if that move makes sense for him.
Yeah, it just depends. Like he's 40, he probably doesn't want to cut as much. We don't know what his walk around
He's
weight
not
is.
big welterweight though.
No, but Shavkat round one.
Okay, round one.
Yeah, round one. I think. Yeah, round one. I'd love Wonder Boy to pull off the shock. I've got nothing against Shavkat. I think he is definitely a future. He is definitely the future champ in this division. Yeah, it's just elite. Just elite. There's a reason why Hamzat went running to 85. There's a reason why Ian Garry's decided not to turn up to this presser because Shavkat's rumored that he slept him in training,
Which I wouldn't be surprised
in the gym, which wouldn't be surprising. But I expect Shavkat to make it 18-0, 18 finishes. He's probably
he's one fight away. If he wins this one, he's one fight away from the title.
He's one fight for the title. Probably be against.
Or he could just sit out potentially. He could sit out and wait.
Sit out and wait, or knowing him, will probably fight like a Gilbert Burns or Usman for me.
Him versus Usman, yeah? Ha!
Yeah.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
Hey, yeah, I think UFC 300 needs a few fights on there, so sign me up.
Him versus Usman is a fight. Even him versus Brady as well. Him versus Brady could be a good fight.
Yes, him versus Brady would be a hell of a fight as well. They should have had it when they were both undefeated, though.
Yeah, I mean, Bilal has to sit out and get the title shot.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Speaking about one legend, we're going to another legend. Tony Ferguson, El Gugui, fighting the returning Paddy Pimblett. I would just want to touch on a few things Paddy said in his presser. A lot more humble. I think that win, that very controversial win, I think it humbled him. The humbling that he probably needed.
Yeah.
Because he was being very, very dangerously writing checks that his fighting may not have been able to cash in. So I think the time away, I think it has made the heart grow fonder because I think we have missed him in the octagon this year. It's definitely humbled him. Yeah, like I'm not so hateful. Well, not so hateful. I think hateful is a very strong word. I think my dislike to him has gone down a heck of a lot compared to what it was this time last year. Obviously, this is a big fight for him. I do feel sorry for Paddy because he is in a lose-lose. He cannot win, regardless.
Yeah.
Smoke Tony Ferguson. Ferguson's washed. If he struggles against Ferguson, Paddy's shit. And if somehow he gets finished or loses to Ferguson, Paddy, he was never any fucking good. Tony finished him and Tony's washed. So I do feel sorry for Paddy in this fight.
It's a tough one. Again, completely agree with everything you said. But one thing we have to realize is in the fights that Ferguson's lost, so he lost Gaethje, he got beaten up over 5 rounds, but in the second round, he almost stopped Gaethje.
Yeah.
Against Oliveira, it went to a decision. and that fight aged really well.
Mm.
Against Chandler in the first round, he beat Chandler in the first round, dropped him, and looked very good. Chandler caught him with a technique we've never seen Chandler throw before.
That's called
Probably
a Hail
will never see him
Mary.
throw again. Yeah. Dariush couldn't finish him.
Left his knee up,
who
I
else?
think, Tony, in that fight.
Say again, sorry?
I think Tony blew out his meniscus or something.
Yeah,
He
blew out
something
his knee because he wouldn't tap. Lost to Nate Diaz by submission. Looked as though that they were both comfortable with the result. They did and that was a very late replacement as well. He took that on 24 hours notice, and then his last defeat was
Bobby Green by submission. That's the one where I went.
That's the one where that's where the concern started for me, because the others, you can kind of go, all right, it makes sense. The Nate Diaz one, maybe that's where the concern starts a little bit, but he's fighting up a weight and he had an opponent change one day out.
Yeah.
The Bobby Green ones, and again, I rate Bobby Green highly. Bobby Green's not a submission expert.
Submitted by a striker, which is your big
head and arm choke.
Uh-oh.
That was the one for me. But again, in the first round, he looked really good. Paddy, for me, just has to get through the first round. If he gets through the first round, he wins this fight. He wins it in the second or the third by stoppage.
By submission for me. I think
he has to get out that first round unscathed. If he doesn't get out that first round unscathed, then he loses the fight. Plus, you better go for a blood choke with Tony, because he's not tapping. You're going to have to break something, or you're going to have to put him to sleep. He's not tapping.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, like I can always see how this fight's visualizing in my head. First round, Paddy will probably get stunned, and we're going to go, oh, hello. He's not learned any boxing defense. His chin is still hanging out like he's waiting for a burger or something like that. And then he's going to rally towards the end of the round. We're going to think, okay, Tony's looking good. He lands a couple of things, and then Paddy's going to get the takedown, tap him out, rear naked choke. That's how I can visualize the fight seeing. And then we'll probably twice saying, oh, yeah, Paddy got the win against Tony. Yeah, tapped him out, but he got rocked there. Got rocked in the first round. Imagine him up against, I would say, Dober, Moicano, McKinney. Thinking, we could have a lot more trouble there. So, yeah, for me, it is second round finish for me. I think he will weather the storm, but this fight will not answer any of the questions that people have of him. It won't answer any questions that I've got of him, which is his striking defense, which I still think is his biggest efficiency is his striking defense. And I don't think that that issue not going to be fully answered in this fight.
So here's the thing. I don't think most fans now expect Paddy to be a champion. So I think that actually does him a favor, because when he came in and the UFC were really pushing him to the moon and he was talking about title aspirations, I don't think anyone now sees him as a title challenger. So I think that takes a lot of pressure off him.
I think the UFC still do. I think the UFC, like, if you ask Dana, do you see him as a title challenger? He probably goes, yeah.
I think if Dana says that, he's doing that for clout and money. With all due respect to Paddy, I look at that top 10, top 15 of lightweights. It's arguably one of the toughest routes to get a title shot in that division.
Probably is the toughest, other than, I'd probably say, welter.
Yeah.
Welterweight.
So for me, I don't think he becomes champion. I think he becomes a fan-friendly fighter. You may even see him fight for the BMF, for example.
Yeah.
But I don't think he fights for the undisputed belt.
No, I do think. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Effort. I think he will be the fighter that fights Logan Paul when he wants to make his MMA debut.
I think he destroys Logan Paul in the cage.
Yeah, no, but But I know Logan Paul said he wants to fight in MMA eventually. Dana's never he's gone. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, if we can find the right opponent, like
I think he
you can
enjoys
definitely
it.
see that fight. You can definitely see that fight. Yeah, I don't think he will become a champion. I do agree with you. He will become a fan friendly fighter. Look at the top 15, man. You even look at 10 to 15. You look who's you going to beat?
It's a madness. Like you got Moicano in there. I think Jalen Turner's in there. Like Bobby Green might still be in there. I think Bobby Green would have been a good fight. Still think it'd be a good fight for him because he needs to fight an
Dan
out
Hooker's still
striker
there.
as well.
Dan Hooker's in there still.
Oh, I forgot about. See, it's like I look at Hooker and I think Hooker would eat him alive.
But that size and reach.
I just think he'd eat him alive.
But obviously, we'll discuss the last fight on the main card. A bit of a late replacement. Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell.
That'd
Supposed to be headlining the prelims, but obviously, before we discuss that fight, let's discuss briefly Vicente Luque versus Ian. I was gonna say the name you can get recently. Ian Gary. That fight pulled out. He said he got pneumonia. I would have gone. That sounds like an excuse to me, but someone else pulled out due to illness as well on the card. So
Yeah.
I probably can't be as harsh as I probably would have been if it was him that just pulled out. But
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not that if you guys watching saw the clip on TNT. I know Callum said he's not watched it as of yet.
Yeah.
I've watched bits of it. Like, everyone knows when they want a day off work. They call in the boss, get a cover, just go. Yeah, sorry, boss. Can't go into there, boss. Yeah.
The thing is, what I will say on his side though, they would have had to provide evidence that he's got pneumonia.
Yeah, obviously we know that he'll be cleared by doctors saying that he can't fight, but we know social media, the social media game,
But this is stuff
online.
he's brought on himself. This is stuff he brought on himself. Like he's in the eye of the storm because he created the storm.
Yeah,
here's the
and
thing.
he's in a lose-lose situation because not gonna lie, everyone's gone from yeah, right, yeah, like I like him to everyone's going, oh, we want to see you lose now.
Yeah. But I think that plays into his hands because I think he's that sort of character where he doesn't mind that. So
yeah, for me, he needs the Paddy treatment. He needs to take some time away. Humble yourself, young man, because I think we're the same, similar age. So humble. Fix up your game because your game's not complete. Criticize Paddy about don't think he'll be champ material. You ain't going to be champ material, my son. I can see it now. He will not become a champion.
All right, hear me out.
I just can't see. He's got more holes in his game, not as big as holes as I'd say Paddy has, but he's still got holes. The thing that's going to stop him is his ego.
So
for me,
I can see a world where Gary's I think Gary's got a way better chance than Paddy.
Yeah,
I
think loves storylines.
I actually think the reason why Gary could become a champion is that I think the UFC could make favorable matchups for him. In the sense of, I think an out-and-out wrestler with very limited striking, like a Bilal, I think Ian Gary beats someone like that. So let's say Bilal was to get the title fight next and then lose.
Hope Bilal doesn't have Khabib in this corner when they fight because Khabib turned Bilal into a knockout.
No, I hear that. But remember his length and range. Ian Gary's a tall and a very big welterweight.
Yes,
I actually think should Bilal lose his title fight and Gary and Vicente fight and Gary wins, and then Gary fights Bilal, that would put him in the top 4, top 5 of the division.
Yeah.
Because of the narrative with Leon Edwards and the fact that Leon it would have beaten Usman. In my opinion, he beats Colby. Who else is in the top 5?
Beats Bilal.
He let's say beats Bilal. Say again, sorry.
Burns. I think he beats Burns as well. Burns is in the top 4.
Like, I don't think they'll fight him and Burns, Gary and Burns. I don't even think they'll fight. But
I don't know it matters because him and Vicente are like teammates.
So that's, I mean, let's say, because Bilal's ranked number 2 at the moment. So let's say Bilal fights Leon after this, or fights, let's say he fights the winner and he loses, and then Gary fights Bilal. Bilal effectively would, Gary, if Gary wins, he'd effectively jump into the top 3 of the division. And then
I'm saying I'm not letting this happen.
No, I hear that, but Ian Gary's the money fight, and there's a history there with Edwards. Ian Gary gets to fight before Shavkat.
Undefeated versus
it's
undefeated.
Crazy, but he gets to fight. He gets to fight. I think Ian Gary is 2 fights away from the title, or a title fight.
2 fights,
maybe even 1.
Oh, that's crazy, you know. But like, you know, the UFC when they got a fan into a fighter, when they think they've got superstar potential, because I think Ian Gary talking about like going to Ireland and stuff like that next year, like UFC Fight Night in Ireland. Which
I get the feeling he's not as big in Ireland as he may think, though.
Oh, stop, mate. He said that he loves Brazil, and you make it a Brazilian passport and wear the yellow trunks in the octagon. I'm like, mate, you're Irish. Are you not Brazilian?
Yeah, that's not endearing him to the Irish.
Are you only saying that you want to be a Brazilian because of your wife? Your wife. You're Irish, kid. Don't forget your roots.
Yeah, and I think that will be a drawback for the Irish fans, because Conor effectively had the Irish fans because he dragged Ireland with him and was like,
not drugged.
This is who I'm representing. Like, you get on board with Ireland.
Hey, speaking of, like, we'll just go on the tangent before we talk about the fight. You know that kid in that press conference, the Aldo McGregor press conference, was like, "Hey Dana, you'll be wrapping a bear on my waist." Won his PFL debut, by the way.
He won his PFL debut.
Oh, the PFL debut is via submission as well.
That's crazy.
That is mental.
He was a proper kid in that.
It's a proper kid. Dana, you'll be wrapping a gold belt around my waist.
Do you know what? I rate that. Whoever that kid is,
Nathan Kelly.
That. Oh, is it Nathan Kelly?
Nathan Kelly, 19 years old now.
Goodness me! So he'd have been what, 11 when he did that.
Oh yeah. Talk about dragging.
Shout out to Conor McGregor for that. Conor McGregor inspired that kid, man.
Yeah,
and 100%. Shout out to that kid for believing in himself and chasing a dream.
Speaking of someone that is inspired by something, Bryce Mitchell. Is he going to bring the Bible out again and shout, "Freedom"?
It's a tough one, because it's a tough one that for me, because I'm a Christian and it's difficult. Like, it's hard to force religion on people. It's hard to force religion on people. But I did, from Bryce, it comes from a good place. It just, probably because he doesn't have that fanfare yet, it didn't go down well. But I'm a big Bryce fan.
I loved it.
The problem is, Emmett's a beast, and he's coming off the back of a loss. And
was it against Topuria?
Yeah, sorry, Topuria.
He lost
2 defeats. He lost against Yair and then lost against Topuria. 2 very bad defeats.
He got sliced and diced by Topuria. Beaten to a pulp.
Bryce, though, is not as aggressive as those other 2 fighters. But what Bryce can do when he gets you to the ground is he can twist your body into positions you don't want to be in, literally and figuratively. So it all depends on how fresh Bryce is coming into this fight, though, because it's a short camp for him, quick turnaround in terms of getting a call and the offer to now fighting. I don't know.
I think he was always scheduled on this card. You know, he was always scheduled on this.
I don't think
On
he
this
was.
card.
Was he?
Yeah, it was. He was supposed to be headlining the prelims. It's just been bumped up to the main card.
Okay, if that no, wasn't he meant? No, he's meant to be headlining the prelims with Emmett.
Yeah, but his fight's been bumped up to the main card because of the.
No, but Emmett had that's a late replacement. Emmett was meant to fight Jakadze.
Oh yes,
He
yes.
was meant to
Sorry,
fight Jakadze.
yes, he tore his groin. Yep, sorry, my
Yeah,
bad.
that
My
looked like a
bad.
bad injury. That did as well. That looked painful.
Training footage.
I'm actually gonna go Bryce here. I think Josh is
Okay.
coming to the end of his career now. Had a very good career. Unfortunately, didn't get to the title. I'm gonna go Bryce here. I think Bryce is gonna want to like continue his bounce back from his loss against Tapori as well. I'm gonna go Bryce.
You know, I want to break the tie because it's like old legends are getting finished in our predictions. So I'm gonna turn the tide and I'm gonna Josh Emmett just rolling back the years with a big looping overhand knockout.
But that's what I was gonna say. You know what his shot is? It's that overhand right. If he can't land that, he's got no chance.
Yeah. No, I'll go Josh Emmett just because I don't want I predicted pretty much all of the legendary fighters over the age of 35 to pretty much lose or get finished. So
Yeah, true.
I'm just gonna be like, if there's one guy that could end up winning out of the old guys, is probably Josh Emmett. When you look at their opponents, like he's got the best chance of winning. So you know what? F it. I'm just gonna put it on him.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm still gonna stick with Bryce though.
Yeah. It's probably the safer bet. If you're a betting man, it's Bryce. But if you like to gamble, well, actually, scrap that because I do not promote gambling whatsoever.
Yeah.
But
if you are going to gamble, do it responsibly.
Yeah, do it responsibly, and when the fun stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll go Josh Emmett. Yeah, so that's the preview done for UFC 296. Obviously, it's a hell of a card. It's going to deliver. Going to deliver. All I just need is Leon to hold that gold belt above his head. Then don't care how boring the fight is, how crap it is, how controversial it is. As long as Leon's holding that gold belt above his head, then that's all that matters to me.
Facts.
Callum, absolutely. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Coppish. You can find me here. You can find me on the Sanderson Show. Sometimes on Jamie's channel, Jamie Phillips Football Chats as well.
Yes.
So yeah, anywhere, guys, anywhere, any one of those 4 places you can find me. Going to be doing a watch along with Luke and Jamie as always supporting. So again, I know I say this behind the scenes, but I just want to say it here as well. Thank you as always for your support and your help. It doesn't go unnoticed and it's extremely appreciated. And guys, the main thing I want you to do is don't worry about following me. Subscribe to this channel. Get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers, and then
that's the goal next year. That is the goal next year, is to get 1,000 subs and to hopefully get monetized. So that is the main goal for next year. A lot more consistency because I've been extremely hit and miss this year.
It's hard,
which is something that I'm trying to improve to get more content out because there is never such thing as no content. There's always content going around. But yes, make sure to join us tonight on the watch along for UFC 296. It will be myself, Callum, and Jamie, the trio reuniting for the last card of the year. Make sure that you tune in for that. Make sure to subscribe to the Sanderson Show, subscribe to Coppish as well, because after that watch along, Callum's doing a watch along for Liverpool United. So make sure to
no rest for the wicked.
Make sure to subscribe to Coppish for our annual cooking of United at Anfield. But yeah, everyone, a massive thank you for joining us today. Hit the like button, share button, and hit the subscribe button for more content. And we'll see you all very soon.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.